In this video, I get to explain to you why I love Punchline. What's up, guys? BJ Kicks here. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. So if you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. Now, this is episode 2 of Why I Love. This is the show where I wax poetic about all the different things I love in this comic book hobby. Now, today, we're talking about why I love Punchline. But before we get into that, if you're new around here, I do comic book hauls, unboxings, overviews, reviews, everything in between. So if you're interested in comic book content like that, and you just want to see a positive face in the community, you should definitely hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell icon so that you're notified whenever I post new videos. Now, this series, Why I Love, I started because I wanted more people talking about the things they love in the hobby and enjoy about the hobby, and not so many people just raging online about things they hate and, trying to find things in common that are negative, right? I want us to be positive. So I started this series, Why I Love, to shed light on the reasons I enjoy the things that I enjoy, and maybe you'll get some enjoyment out of them too. Now, today we're talking about Punchline. Now, Punchline, this might be the most famous cover of Punchline. Punchline is a newer character to the Gotham mythos. She was introduced by James Tynion IV, designed by Jorge Jimenez, as part of James Tynion's Batman run. Batman by James Tynion started with issue 86. Punchline actually makes her first cameo appearance in Batman issue 89. Now, that is a book that I don't have on me for reasons that I'll get into later. Now, the next time we see Punchline, and basically Punchline is introduced to us as Joker's new main squeeze. Now, for some context, Harley Quinn has been finding her agency. She broke things off with the Joker a while back. Currently, she's trying to, smooth her way into the Bat family and fight for some good and redeem herself. But more recently, she's been romantically linked to Poison Ivy and not the Joker. And so a lot of what's been going on with Harley is, like I said, finding her independence, finding her voice, finding her agency, which is all well and good, but it does kind of leave a hole, a Harley Quinn-sized hole, in the Joker's whole mythos. Now, enter Punchline, who, like I said, we were introduced to as sort of Joker's main squeeze leading up to the Joker War. And at the time that we're introduced to Punchline, a lot of people in the community sort of dismissed her as like Harley Quinn light, or like, oh, we don't need another Harley Quinn. This is just going to be another Harley Quinn. And what I'm going to kind of show you is how over time, my opinion of the character changed, although I never really held that opinion. But my love for the character sort of grew over time. And I think this is a lesson in just kind of seeing things through till the end. So I told you guys I don't have a copy of Batman issue 89. And I have a full run of Batman minus that issue. I'm so upset about that. But I actually did have Batman 89. Not only did I have Batman 89 originally, I also had Punchline's first full appearance in Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen, issue 3. Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen was a miniseries basically setting up death metal and parts of death metal with Lex Luthor and the Joker fighting to be Perpetua's aide and all sorts of stuff. Honestly, it's a bunch of cosmic stuff that ends up getting resolved by the end of death metal almost a year later, honestly. But anyway, so Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen number 3, where Joker is basically fighting with Lex Luthor, trying to be Perpetua's main squeeze, like her main villain that she's using to get all these things done, versus like the Batman Who Laughs and Lex Luthor, right? We got this issue right here where Joker is, I think, trying to fight Lex, if I remember correctly, and as part of that, you see Punchline. And Lex Luthor couldn't be bothered to deal with the Joker, but he has to sort of understand more about the Batman Who Laughs and his motivations. So Punchline makes a very brief cameo here, doesn't really do much. Well, actually, she makes a short appearance here. I think she like slices somebody or something, but this is her first full appearance in the book. Now, there was this whole big thing because Year the Villain Hell Arisen wasn't initially supposed to be Punchline's first full appearance. It was supposed to happen in Batman issue 92, which is her first full appearance in a Batman storyline. And this is also her first cover appearance. You can see her here. Now, by this time, the hype around Punchline is like insane. This Year the Villain Hell Arisen sold out like super quick because it was super under ordered. I was very excited to have the first print. And I guess we'll stop the story here because I sold my first print of Batman 89 and Year the Villain Hell Arisen 3 because we found out we were pregnant. We needed some money to pay some medical bills. I needed some quick cash. And those two books, I think I sold for $150 total. I don't even want to look and see what they're going for right now, but I'll do that and I'll put it on the screen so you can be sad with me. But anyway, I don't even sell comics for like the value. I don't collect comics for value, so I don't really care what they cost or they're worth, except that I want them back in my collection. I don't want to pay those prices. So anyway, by this time, Punchline hype is all the way real because people missed out on the Year the Villain Hell Arisen, and so they wanted her first cover appearance, which was this book, right? But the variant to that cover appearance was this one. And so this is like, obviously, if you want a Punchline cover, this is the one. This was the first like big Punchline cover. It's a variant by Artgerm, and it's everything we know and love about the Punchline design. So very cool. But like I said, by this time, Punchline hype is at full force. So she's making appearances all over the Bat titles. She's headed into the Joker War. Here she is fighting poor Rick Grayson and Nightwing. Like, Punchline is just like, whoa, she's coming in, she's swinging, she's slicing people up. Like, she's got a lot going for her, it seems. But again, by around this time, the consensus in the community was, she's just another Harley Quinn version. Like she's cool, the character design's cool, but whatever. It's not adding anything to the story. Well, that changed for me with this book right here. This is Punchline #1. Now, let me be very clear. The hype around Punchline never died down. But among the diehard readers, there was kind of a sense of apathy around the character. But like I said, for me, that changed when this book was released. This is Punchline #1. It is a one-shot. It's not an ongoing series, but this was Punchline's first appearance under her own title. And in this book, well, let me back up. Between her appearances in Nightwing and this Punchline ongoing series, there were a couple of things that happened. So first, we got the Joker 80th Anniversary Spectacular, which I have 2 copies of and somehow can't find them. Blame it on me packing for moving, right? But in that Punchline 80th Anniversary Special, or is it a 100th Anniversary Special? No, it's 80th, because Batman's only 80. But anyway, the 100-page special, James Tynion writes a quick story called What Comes After a Joke, which, of course, it's the Punchline. And so here we get what was originally billed as the origin of Punchline, although I don't know that I would necessarily classify it as that. But what we learn is that Punchline is a college student. And basically, without spoiling anything, the contents of that short story are basically Punchline's tryout to be a part of Joker's whole world and movement, right? Very cool, very interesting, but it doesn't really tell us much about how Punchline got to this point. It just kind of shows her first outing as Punchline. And we learn that Punchline has been like trying to make her own Joker toxin, and she's been practicing on unsuspecting victims, but she's finally caught the Joker's attention, and now she's trying to make something of it. Interesting enough. Now, that's just a cool little flashback because during this time, we are knee-deep in the Joker War, which I have no issues with the Joker War on hand, but this was part of the journey to the Joker War. We see Punchline fighting poor Ricky boy, Grayson, right? And so, all cool. Now, Punchline actually has a pretty significant role in the Joker War. There's a face-off between Punchline and Harley Quinn, or actually a couple of them. There's some nice moments where um, basically Harley's like, man, he's just gonna leave you and use you just like he used me. And Punchline kind of alludes to the fact that, like, she's the one using the Joker. Like, this is not Harley Quinn 2.0, as much as you guys may think it is. No, Punchline is her own person and she's got her own motivations. And I'm like, huh, that's interesting. That's an interesting plot thread. Well, Joker War wraps up. Punchline is basically captured, and she's gonna, I don't know, go to Arkham or go to jail or something, right? That's how Joker War wraps up. Well, this Punchline one-shot comes out shortly after the conclusion of the Joker War, or is meant to be read after the conclusion of the Joker War. And, without spoiling the Joker War, the Joker doesn't win, right? But in Punchline's mind, the seeds have already been planted. Like, you guys thought you won the Joker War, but Punchline is coming. And in this book, this is where we get the true origin of Punchline. And what we find out, spoiler alert for this Punchline one-shot, what we find out is that Punchline was actually a victim in one of the Joker's many, like, grand schemes against Batman, right? Joker's, like, on TV trying to kill somebody, needs a volunteer from the audience, and volunteers poor Alexis Tate, I believe is Punchline's real name. And during the whole thing, Batman kind of stops the show. But in that moment, Punchline, or Alexis, is kind of enamored and like indoctrinated already with what the Joker's got going on. The way she sees herself is as Joker's hand-picked assistant in the magic trick. So Punchline sees herself as like the assistant in the Joker's big magic show, right? But she doesn't get to perform her role because Batman comes and saves the day, and so on. Well, from that moment, Alexis has been trying to figure out her place in all of this, and also trying to figure out exactly what is going on with Joker. So she's been studying all of his cases extensively. She even starts a podcast where she's basically talking to the Joker and kind of trying to connect dots between, one crime or another, right? The water supply, the laughing fish, the Joker toxins, all of it, right? And as she, does this whole podcast, as she dives deeper and deeper and deeper, with no interaction with the Joker himself, mind you, she descends deeper into this sort of chaos, right? She descends into this role of Punchline. Another way to put it is she's radicalized. She's radicalized through the internet and everything she can find, right? And that is what really resonated with me. I shouldn't say resonated like I've been, out here trying to be a killer too, right? But what happens is, or why I like this take so much, is this is exactly what would happen in a modern day scenario if, someone was looking up to the Joker. What if, somebody was seeing what the Joker was doing and thought, he's right, Killmonger was right. How exactly would that go? Now, what's really cool is if you remember, like, mass murders of the past and stuff like that, I shouldn't say it's cool, right? But if you remember those situations, there's a reason in America we don't like, flashing serial killers on the news media, right? We don't necessarily say the murderers' names all the time. Because what we find in America is that when there are these mass killings, a lot of times once the guy gets his media coverage, there tend to be copycat murders. And what you find is that with these murders, there's always this manifesto and it's like, I'm going to be famous because I did this, right? And so in America, we don't want to give those people that type of shine. Well, the danger in copycat murderers is that people don't just copy, right? They think they can one-up things that have been done in the past. So we go from, a few people at Columbine to people at different schools, and it's like way more people, and you see these death tolls rise and all sorts of stuff unfortunately happen in real life, right? Well, that same concept has been applied to Punchline, I think, in a very smart way. Because where Harley Quinn sees herself as sort of like helping the Joker, right? She sees herself as, she was trying to help him out, mentally, and ended up falling into madness herself. And, she's really just taking the love interest role. Well, the more you learn about Punchline, the more you see her, you understand that Punchline doesn't see herself as just a part of Joker's story. She sees herself as better, as a better version of what he's trying to do. She thinks that she's cracked the code to really unlocking the madness in Gotham and getting people to turn over the edge. Long story short, she feels like Joker isn't going far enough. And Punchline, as we learn in this one shot, is about to take things up a notch, which is very cool, right? It's very interesting. It makes sense. It's brand new. It's surprising, but it makes total sense. And I love that about the way we've been introduced to the Punchline character. Reading this Punchline one shot made me love the character Punchline. And I think if you give it a shot, if you can find it digitally or even in a comic shop, you'll start to enjoy it a little bit more, or her a little bit more as well. Now, this plot thread doesn't really get picked up until the Joker issue number 1. He's got his own series, but there's Punchline backups in every issue, also featuring Punchline. And this is also written by James Tynion with artwork by Gilliam March. I haven't read this issue yet. I actually dug it out for this video and so that I could actually read it. So I'm excited to dig into that and continue seeing how Punchline is going to impact Gotham in the long term. But long story short, I don't think she's just a throwaway character. I think if handled correctly, she could be, one of the best members of Batman's Rogues Gallery after a while. And, I'm sure people disagree with me because Joker already exists. But if Punchline can find a thread in Gotham that hasn't been woven yet, she can really cement an interesting legacy for herself as a victim, or as a as a villain. There we go. So before I wrap up this video, I want to just kind of show you some cool stuff that I have featuring Punchlines. I've already shown you, this cover. This cover got really hyped, but then a bunch of shops ordered 1 million copies of it because it was an open order variant. So you could probably still find this for like $5. It's still one of my favorite Punchline covers to date. The Joker issue number 2 has a great variant by Lee Bermejo, which is probably my second favorite cover. Like I said, I got the first cover appearance of Punchline. Here she is at the chest piece down here. Very cool. Eventually, I'm going to buy another copy of Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen number 3, the first print. But for now, this third print or second print that I got in the Walmart pack is going to have to do. I'm also going to buy a copy of Batman 89 as well. I love this. I love this cover featuring her and Rick Grayson. I call him Rick for a reason, by the way, but no spoilers there. And then here's some other covers I've got. So this is a Punchline variant. This is a team exclusive by Peach Momoko. Love that. And then here's another team exclusive variant. This one is by Tyler Kirkham. Now, I've got one more team variant that I don't know. I guess I packed it up for the move, but that one is an homage cover to that famous Alex Ross picture of the Joker and Harley Quinn dancing, and I love that I have that cover. That's probably my favorite. So it's going to be that one, then Batman 92, and then that Punchline or that Joker number 2. But yeah, so those are some of my favorite books featuring Punchline. I am so excited to see how James Tynion continues to weave the Punchline story, and only time will tell. She might end up being a classic villain, and she might end up super low on the pantheon, but we'll never know. Batman has no shortage of great villains, so she's got a lot of competition and a lot of work cut out for herself. But I think she's in capable hands. I love James Tynion's work so far. He hasn't disappointed me yet, So we'll see how it goes. But I want to know from you guys, how do you feel about Punchline? Were you like me and kind of skeptical? Did you not see the value early on, and are you regretting it later? Or are you still just like, I can do without it? I'd love to know, so let me know in the comments below. Or if you really want to have a dope discussion, we can talk about Punchline inside the K Squad Facebook group. Now, in that group, I post hauls. We have all sorts of activities. We've got our book club going on. We are reading. What are we reading? We're reading Venom, Volume 1 by Donnie Cates for the next book club meeting. We got a fan art exchange going on. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on in the K Squad. So if you're interested, hit the link in the description of this video. I hope you saw something you liked in this video. And if not, hey, that's cool. You can always buy what you like. Make sure you read what you buy. And be nice to others. Because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.